This is All India Radio.
We now bring you poetry recitation by a well-known poetess, Srimati Kamala Das. She begins her recitation with a poem entitled We Learn From.
We learn from our surroundings as animals do or birds. For our copyings we are not to be blamed. Our city crushes its inhabitants one by one, and with urban finesse eats them, and afterwards sits facing the moon, picking its teeth, while the fetor of its breath fills our mortal lungs at night. We ate our forefathers to gather the vigor for living. Later, our descendants shall perhaps eat us when their turn arrives. No, we shall not be surprised. We are ordinary. No God seems too keen to preserve us. We mated like gods, but begot only our slayers. Each mother suckles her own enemy, and hate is first nurtured at her gentle breast, and each man's seed is pregnant with his death. We are common, like some currency devalued. We have a complex about our own shabbiness. We are little wrecks at the basement of the sea, one wreck examining the other with a fault-finding eye. The salt of our tears and of our blood came from the sea. This is a world pickled well in brine, a world we intend to save for a rainy day. The sea does not spill over, though there are no walls between it and the earth. The houses stand where we store our wealth. At times a storm sinks some ships, or a quick typhoon devastates a town. But nature, aware of life's intent, does not care to seek anyone's pardon. It sees no difference between the living and the dead. Through a corpse's eye, glazed to a visor, death peers out at the living. At least it lives on to cool, to rot, and fill the hollows with fat maggots that sprout like toadstools without notice. On the epitaphs at graves, lichen grows the fastest, as do scabs on wounds. Yes, death promotes a kind of life. Who can say for certain that we are superior to the maggots that eat us in the end? We are aided by death in our careers. We ought to learn to take in each sight filtered through its eye. For at night the hunter and the hunted often lie asleep in an innocence shared unwittingly, and all the hatreds seem fancied, the prejudices unreal. What is real is only what we see, the child following a wood duck's trail, a woman's face peeping through tangled clotheslines, a starched face with a pudgy nose. The dark young woods that separate my home state from Karnataka, the bewitched Muttanga forest flecked with the green glitter of ice, where the proud cheetah crossed our path and forgot to stop, and black monkeys with fly-whisked tails jabbered in fear. In the remoteness of sleep, I gathered a harvest for my eyes. O white man with whiter limbs, luminous in the blue, have I met you in real life too, or are you just a symbol? The sky is a bazaar at 4 a.m., crowded with the frosty faces of stars. It seems a happy place to land on, but a sunny porch and my husband beside me, alive. That's all that I shall ask for. I shall retire from youth without a murmur, fold up my lust neatly like a wedding gown, put it away for good, and keep my dream's gate always shut, although by God he was so beautiful, white man with whiter limbs so luminous against the blue.
The title of this poem is Mother.
Mother, you cannot gauge your loneliness when you are alone. You taste it only when someone who loved you in childhood calls on you and sits wringing his hands, looking, no, not at you, but at the old city's fading skyline beyond your windowsill. And words come thudding down like dismembered heads in combat. Yes, loneliness is the familiar scent of a son's sweaty skin, the exchange of empty civilities between him and you, the soundless war within, the illness that you choose not to talk about, and your pride, now long cherished, that none but you shall ever applaud.
I Shall is the title of this poem, recited by Srimati Kamala Das.
I shall auction off my gods today, For the heaven-sent bidder who can pay the highest ever price for myths, I shall sell a lad with a blue-tinted skin, whose amours were legion, amidst the trees of Brindavan. A mother with reddened eyes, who at our slightest bidding slaughtered, exulting in a bloody cult, and one with an elephant's head and trunk, who when propitiated with sweets and fed, removed obstacles from one's way, and another with serpents in his hair, beloved of Parvati, resident of the hills, destroyer of the world. I shall sell them idols of bronze and gold, stained dark with time, that bear the fingerprints of ancestors. I shall offer them as glib traders offer the cool jade of mirages to the thirsty. Travelers who on camel-back cross vast deserts, I shall praise their omniscience. To the richest men I shall sell my dreams and live forever, awake and free.
The next poem is entitled Rented Houses.
Rented houses hold few mementos. In this 15th abode, perhaps my last, there are so few reminders of my son's growing years. Just a guitar, strings undone, and a stamp album with one page missing. We lived together in transit homes where women still continue to rear their young, as I did once, thrusting teeth into small impatient mouth and changing diapers. On the walls, the nicks perhaps remain, with which I marked each son's yearly growth. Later, they shed their childhood terrors and moved on to blithe success, those strong urbane ones with no time at all for a backward glance, too busy to remember the juvenile covenants of a past that contained a father, mother, and some love.
You were listening to the poetry recitation by Srimati Kamala Das, a well-known poetess. This program was recorded at the All India Radio Trivandrum. This broadcast came to you from All India Radio, Bangalore.